This was a great fight to analyze. If you're training no-gi, I really encourage you to look at the hip body lock system and study the fighters who are doing it really well. Alright guys, happy to bring you another breakdown. This fight we're breaking down is a grappling super fight between Nicky Rodriguez and Yuri Simoes. If you look at the match, Nicky Rodriguez was in control, passed the guard a few times, using a simple but very effective hip body lock. So we're going to go over the hip body lock and show you different setups. He did the same pass with 3 different setups. So here's the first setup. So Yuri Simoes was in his butterfly sit-up guard. And by the way, Yuri Simoes is very good at this position. He enters a lot of leg locks. He's a 2-time ADCC champion. He has won a lot of tournaments with the gi too. He's under Kaioteha, who's an excellent professor, an excellent jiu-jitsu fighter, and also multiple-time world champion, 10-time world no-gi champion. So he's got a really good system. Nicky Rod comes from a wrestling background, so he was able to adapt his wrestling to really, really strong pressure game in jiu-jitsu, right? So first from the hip body lock, he enters this way, connects his hands, and puts his head forward on the chest, right? His opponent, Yuri, comes up, and he's using his head to kind of pin his upper body. Now, it's a neutral position right now. Like, none of us are kind of advancing, right? What was the game changer was when Yuri decided to unhook this leg to put Nicky back into open guard. He was able to bring his knee up to block. That was kind of a mistake, and the reason Yuri wanted to do it was to kind of maybe play half guard or open or close guard, because in this position I could start working my pass, my cartwheel pass, my hip body lock pass without bringing the knees. But as soon as Yuri brought that open knee, he was able to pass the knee through and start slicing this way. Let's move it this way so they can see right here. So as he brought the knee through, he has a pressure with the hip body lock here. Passes the knee through. Now, if you notice, if you look at the match, he still had a hook, so he was vulnerable to getting swept. But what Nicky Rod did was pretty creative. He put his head on the other side, kind of forcing his way this way. As Yuri picked up that butterfly hook, right, he tried to hop over it, but it actually released the hook, and then he hooked on the same leg. And so when Yuri tried to shrimp or move, he would have already passed. Right, Yuri then got desperate. There was a no point submission. It was a submission only, no point match. So when Yuri didn't care about points, but he didn't want to get submitted, he kind of turtled. As he turtled, look, that hip body is still connected, hip body lock, and then he started attacking the back into the scramble. Okay, so that was one setup. Very good match to study. Very good passing system, but this is a different setup. I'm going to show both sides. So first, I'll show this angle. He was able to attack, so anytime Yuri was in this position, Yuri would come up, right? As he would come up, he would put on the hip body lock. And something I noted too, he wouldn't connect his hands in a gable grip. He would actually grab his wrist so it was even tighter. And I'm blocking this side of the hip. So as Nicky comes up, he posts, drives his shoulder, comes up. Yuri tries to scramble. He comes up. Of course, he didn't finish the pass. Yuri does a good job of like stuffing the neck. Go ahead and stuff the neck. Push. And he stayed back here, putting on that pressure. Okay, so even though he didn't pass, it was a good scramble, but it was a good setup that he was trying to do it. So now I'm going to show it on this side. So this is the leg that's blocked this way and here. Okay, so as he's connecting this position, he's coming up, putting shoulder pressure, stepping away. As he sees the leg over, he steps over it. Even though his neck is stuffed and creates a scramble, he never gives up on that hip body lock, and he starts entering again. So that was the second setup. He didn't officially pass, but it was a really nice setup in how he engaged into the pass movement, creating a good scramble and being control in the fight. Okay guys, this is the third setup, and what we're looking at with the hip body lock passing system that Nicky Rod was able to accomplish in this super fight. So Yuri was on his back. He had that same position where he was trying to maybe work some butterfly hook guard. Nicky Rod had a really good job of connecting that hip body lock, except in this third exchange, this third setup, Yuri put his foot at his hip to kind of create some space what Nick did was pretty creative. As Yuri kicked that leg out, he stepped over and around, and then his left leg did a kind of a similar movement, but just a little bit smaller, and he was able to come back this way. When Yuri Simoes ends up coming to his elbow, right, he brings his arm across. Nicky's able to use his folk style wrestling, right? He controls the far shoulder, his left hand controls the wrist, then he's able to bring it in and really run into his opponent, right? At this point, he recovers into the guard. As he recovers, he connects the hip body lock again, brings his leg across, and starts establishing that grip. Even if Yuri is able to bring this knee forward, he still is able to connect that hip body lock and start establishing his grip. So he did a great job in the third setup combining the hip body lock passing with some of the folk style wrestling, with the wrist control, shoulder control. This was a great fight to analyze. If you're training no-gi, I really encourage you to look at the hip body lock system and study the fighters who are doing it really well. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Look up our MMA and our Jiu-Jitsu Superfight breakdowns where we study these positions. And congratulations to the fighters who did a great job showing this type of movements. I hope you guys enjoyed.